The first time I tried to leave my boyfriend, he looked at me like I'd become someone disgusting and said, "Good luck finding a man who pays for everything." The worst part was, I had never asked him to. A week earlier, Adrian and I had been walking through a park when a man stopped us. At first, I thought he wanted directions. Instead, he looked at Adrian and said, "This might be awkward, but are you single?" Adrian blinked, then laughed and pointed at me. "Definitely not." The guy looked embarrassed for half a second. "Worth a shot." He started to leave, then turned back. "I was going to take you to that new restaurant downtown. My treat." Adrian laughed. "The expensive one?" "That's the one." Then the guy walked away. For the next minute, Adrian and I joked about it. I nudged him. "You should have gone. Free dinner." He grinned. "You'd let me? For that restaurant?" "Maybe." It was funny. Until it wasn't. Something shifted inside me so suddenly that I barely understood it myself. I wasn't jealous. I wasn't angry that a man had asked Adrian out. What bothered me was realizing that a complete stranger had casually offered him something I had quietly wanted for years. Not that specific restaurant. Not an expensive meal. Just the feeling behind it. Someone thinking, "I want to take you somewhere special." After almost 3 years together, Adrian had never really done that for me. He noticed my expression change. "What happened?" "Nothing. You were laughing 10 seconds ago." "I'm fine." He gave me a look. "You're obviously not." We kept walking. Then I said it before I had time to think. "You've never taken me somewhere like that." He frowned. "Like what?" "A nice restaurant." He stared at me. "Are we seriously doing this because some random guy asked me out?" "No. It sounds like we are." "It's not about him." "Then what is it about?" I opened my mouth and realized I didn't know how to answer. Because it wasn't one thing. It was groceries, utilities, laundry, cooking, cleaning, birthday gifts, trips I had paid for. All the small things I had told myself weren't worth mentioning. So I just said, "I don't know." Adrian sighed. "Okay." We walked in silence for another minute before I stopped. "I'm going home." "What?" "I need some space." "Heather, what is happening?" "I honestly don't know." That part was true. I felt embarrassed, ungrateful, angry. But underneath all of that was something I hated admitting. Resentment. I left Adrian in the park and went home alone. By the time I got back to the apartment, I was crying. Not because I wanted some expensive dinner. Because one stupid conversation had forced me to look directly at something I had avoided for a long time. Money had always been the uncomfortable part of our relationship. Everything else had taken work, but we had done that work. I've struggled with my mental health for years. There were periods when I was difficult to be around. Times when I shut down. Times when I reacted too strongly. Times when Adrian had to be more patient with me than I knew how to be with myself. He stayed. He listened. He learned when to reassure me and when to give me space. When our communication became too messy to handle alone, we went to therapy together. I paid for it because I could at the time. I never resented that. I was grateful Adrian agreed to go. We worked hard to build something stable. That mattered more to me than almost anything. But somewhere along the way, I started using his emotional support to justify every other imbalance. He had stayed through difficult periods. So maybe it was fine that I paid for more things. He knew how to calm me down when I was overwhelmed. So maybe cooking every night wasn't a big deal. He had been patient with me. So asking him for more felt selfish. I never said those things out loud. But I lived as if they were true. Adrian had grown up with far less stability than I had. My family wasn't extremely wealthy, but I had advantages he didn't. One of those advantages was the apartment. My family had helped me buy it. It wasn't large or luxurious, but it meant I didn't have to deal with outrageous rent. When Adrian moved in about a year before everything fell apart, I didn't charge him rent. At the time, that felt natural. We were together. I didn't want to treat him like a tenant. At first, living together was exciting. Then as things began taking over, Adrian loved fashion. Not casually. He followed designers, waited for releases, collected shoes, jackets, and accessories, and somehow owned more clothes than anyone I had ever met. Within a few months, most of the closet was his. Then part of the hallway. Then 2 extra clothing racks. I used to tease him about it. You own 15 versions of the same black jacket. They're completely different. They're all black. That doesn't make them the same. I'd laugh. He'd explain stitching, cuts, fabrics, and details I never noticed. I didn't care how he spent his money. He worked hard for it. He earned more than I did. I told myself it was none of my business. His money. His choice. The problem was that while his money remained mostly his, more and more of mine became ours. I bought most of the groceries. I paid the utilities. I covered internet and household supplies. If we ran out of detergent, toilet paper, cleaning products, or food, I replaced it. And, because I was home more often, most of the housework gradually became mine too. I cooked. I cleaned. I did laundry. I kept track of everything we needed. At first, I didn't mind. Then I did. One evening, I tried bringing it up while folding laundry. Most of it belonged to Adrian. I held up one of his shirts. You know this basket is basically all yours, right? He glanced over from the couch. Probably. You own too much. You own too little. I laughed. Then I said, seriously though, I feel like I'm doing most of this. He looked confused. Most of what? Cooking. Cleaning. Laundry. I clean. Sometimes. I cleaned the bathroom last week. After I asked you. His expression tightened. Heather, I'm out working 5 days a week. The comment irritated me immediately. So I'm tired when I get home. So am I. You're home more. I'm working when I'm home. I know that. It doesn't sound like you do. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? He rubbed his forehead. I'm saying our schedules are different. I could feel the conversation turning into something bigger. So I backed down. I'm not trying to fight. Neither am I. I just need more help. Okay. For a few days, he helped more. Then things slowly returned to normal. I didn't bring it up again. Money worked the same way. Whenever Adrian and I went out, we technically took turns paying. If I chose the restaurant, I might pick somewhere nicer. Nothing ridiculous. Just somewhere we could dress up a little and make the evening feel special. I'd pay. Then when it was Adrian's turn, he usually picked somewhere cheaper. Burgers. Noodles. A pub. I liked those places. That wasn't the issue. The difference was simply never dramatic enough for me to feel justified mentioning it. That was how almost everything worked between us. Nothing seemed serious enough on its own. So I stayed quiet. I bought Adrian expensive gifts because I enjoyed doing it. A game console he had wanted. A piece of jewelry he kept looking at. A hotel stay when we needed time away. None of those gifts came with conditions. I loved seeing him happy. But over time, I realized I was missing something. Not equal spending. Reciprocal effort. I wanted him to occasionally think, I want to do something special for her. Not because it was my birthday. Not because I asked. Just because he wanted to. The resentment became harder to ignore whenever Adrian complained about being broke. He would say, I have no money until payday. Then another package would arrive. Shoes. A jacket. Something limited edition. Again, his money. His choice. But I was paying for the food we both ate while watching him spend hundreds on things for himself. And somehow, I still felt guilty for thinking that was unfair. That was what the stranger in the park had accidentally exposed. It wasn't about dinner. It was about realizing how long I had been swallowing disappointment because I was afraid wanting more made me ungrateful. When Adrian came home that evening, I was sitting at the kitchen counter. He put his keys down. Are you going to tell me what happened? I'm trying to figure it out. You left me in a park. I know. Because some guy offered to take me to dinner? No. Then explain it. I looked around the apartment. His jacket over a chair. His shoes near the door. A package on the floor. Groceries I had bought. A utility bill on the counter. I suddenly felt ridiculous. How was I supposed to explain years of small frustrations without sounding like I had secretly been keeping receipts? I think I feel taken for granted. He stared at me. What? At home. Financially. Just overall. His expression changed. Where's this coming from? It's not new. It is to me. That's because I don't talk about it. He looked frustrated. Then how am I supposed to know? That hurt because he had a point. I should have spoken sooner. But another part of me wanted to ask why I had to explain everything. Did I really need to tell him that two people ate more groceries than one? That living somewhere rent-free still meant using electricity, internet, food, and household supplies? That dinner didn't cook itself? I said, I shouldn't have to assign you participation in our life. That's not fair. Isn't it? No. You do things without asking me, then resent me because I didn't know you wanted help. I'm not asking you to read my mind. That's what it feels like. I don't want to tell you to buy me something. Then don't. I don't want to tell you to take me somewhere. Then why are we arguing about restaurants? Because I want you to want to. That finally made him quiet. I tried again. I don't need an expensive dinner. I just want to feel like sometimes you think about doing something for me. I do things for you. I know. Then what are you saying? You've supported me emotionally through a lot. His expression changed. Emotionally? That came out wrong. It sounds like I'm your therapist. That's not what I mean. Then what do you mean? I took a breath. You've been there for me through difficult things. I know that. And I think because of that, I started feeling like I wasn't allowed to ask for anything else. He stared at me. I never said that. I know. Then why are you blaming me for it? I'm not blaming you. You kind of are. The conversation was going nowhere. So we stopped. For the next few days, we acted normal. Or tried to. We ate together. Watched television. Talked about ordinary things. Adrian even started washing dishes more often. But once I had finally acknowledged the problem, I couldn't unsee it. The grocery receipts. The laundry. The bills. Another package arriving. Then one evening, Adrian came home carrying a shopping bag. He looked excited. Look what finally came. He pulled out a jacket. I recognized the brand. I didn't know the exact price, but I knew it wasn't cheap. He put it on. What do you think? It looks nice. That's all. It looks really nice. He studied my face. You hate it. I don't. You're doing that thing. What thing? That judgmental silence. I turned toward the kitchen. I'm not judging you. You clearly are. I looked at the grocery list on the counter. Then the bill beside it. Then the jacket. How much was it? He frowned. Why? I'm asking. You've never cared before. How much? He told me. It was more than I usually spent feeding both of us for a month. I nodded. Okay. He laughed once. There. That face. What face? Like I did something wrong. You told me 2 days ago that you were broke. I ordered this weeks ago. That doesn't make it free. It's my money. There it was again. His money. His choice. The sentence I had used to silence myself for years. I know. Then what is your problem? My problem is I'm paying for most of the groceries. He stared at me. What? And the utilities. Household supplies. Most of the things we both use. You could have asked me to send you money. You live here. So? That word stopped me. Not because he shouted. Because he sounded genuinely confused. So? As if shared responsibility only existed if I sent him an invoice. You really need me to ask? Yes, Heather. If you want me to pay something, ask. That's the problem. How? I don't want your contribution because I demanded it. I want you to realize you live here too. I know I live here. Then why have you never asked what anything costs? His face tightened. You own the apartment. I'm not asking you to pay for the apartment. Then what are you asking? Groceries. Utilities. Household expenses. Things you use every day. Then tell me what you want me to pay. I don't want to manage you. You wouldn't be managing me. If I have to tell you which bills exist, what we need from the store, when we're out of detergent, when the laundry needs doing, what chores need handling, what do you call that? He threw his hands up. So now I'm failing because I don't think exactly like you? That's not what I said. You keep changing what this is about. No. It's all the same problem. How? Because I feel like I'm carrying the practical side of this relationship alone. He stared at me. I work all week. So do I. You're home more. I'm not sitting here doing nothing. I never said that. You use your schedule as the reason I should handle everything. That's not what I'm doing. Then what are you doing? He rubbed his forehead. I honestly don't know what you want from me. And suddenly, I realized I hadn't clearly defined it either. Did I want half the bills? More chores? More effort? A thoughtful date? All of it? The resentment had become so large because I had refused to name it while it was still manageable. I felt tears coming. Adrian saw them and sighed. Here we go. The second he said it, his expression changed. He knew. I stared at him. Here we go. That came out wrong. No. Heather. No. It's fine. I walked into the bedroom. He followed me. Don't do this. Do what? Turn one bad sentence into everything. I turned around. Maybe this shouldn't be an argument anymore. He froze. What does that mean? I looked at him. I think I want to break up. The room went completely still. Adrian stared at me. No, you don't. Yes. You're upset. I am. You say things when you're overwhelmed. That hit every insecurity I had. All the work I had done learning to trust my own feelings. Don't do that. I'm trying to understand how we went from some guy asking me out to ending almost 3 years together. It is not about him. Then what is it? There it was. The question. And the answer felt ugly before I even said it. Bills. Groceries. Housework. Restaurants. Gifts. Money. I said quietly, it's because of money. Adrian stared at me. I regretted it immediately. Not because it was completely false. Because it reduced everything I felt into the worst possible version. He repeated it. Money. It's not just money. You just said it was. It's the imbalance. He gave a disbelieving laugh. Wow. Adrian, listen. I am listening. No, you're hearing the word money and ignoring everything around it. You're ending our relationship because I don't spend enough on you. That is not what I said. Restaurants. Gifts. Bills. What else am I supposed to think? I'm talking about contribution. I contribute. Emotionally, yes. The second the words left my mouth, I knew how terrible they sounded. His expression changed. Oh, that's not what I meant. I think it is. It isn't. So all the times I supported you count for nothing? I never said that. All those difficult nights? Stop. All the patience? Please stop. Does any of that get deducted from the grocery bill? My eyes filled with tears. I never said you owed me. No. Apparently I owe you. That is not what I'm saying. This is disgusting. I went still. What? This whole thing. Keeping score. Measuring who paid for what. Acting like everything is transactional. I'm trying to tell you I feel unequal in this relationship. And I'm telling you I didn't know I was taking some financial exam. It's not an exam. Then what is it? I don't want someone to pay for everything. He grabbed his jacket. I followed him toward the door. Adrian, that is not what I want. He opened it. I never asked you to support me. I know. I never asked you to buy me expensive things. He turned back. Then what are we even doing? I want a partner. I am your partner. I don't feel like one. His face hardened. Then he said, good luck finding someone who pays for everything. And he left. I stood there listening to his footsteps disappear. Then I closed the door. For the first time since Adrian moved in, the apartment felt completely mine again. And underneath the heartbreak, I felt something that scared me. Relief. Adrian stayed with a friend. We barely spoke for 3 days. Then he texted. Are you serious? I stared at the message for almost an hour. Finally, I wrote. I don't know. Because I didn't. I loved him. That was still true. I missed his jokes. The way he could tell when I needed space. The little routines we had built without thinking. But with him gone, I noticed other things too. The apartment stayed clean. The grocery bill dropped. The laundry basket barely filled. I had more time. Not dramatically more. Just enough to notice. One evening, I made dinner. 1 plate. 1 pan. A few minutes to clean everything afterward. And I finally understood how many small tasks I had stopped counting as work. Cooking. Cleaning. Planning. Buying. Replacing. remembering. None of it looked dramatic. Together, it was constant. I had always counted Adrian's emotional support because it mattered. I had treated everything I contributed as background noise. That didn't mean he had intentionally used me. I still didn't believe that. But he had become comfortable with an arrangement that benefited him. And I had helped create it by avoiding the conversation for too long. For days after he left, Adrian texted again. "Can we talk?" I said yes. When he came back, he looked exhausted. So did I. We sat on opposite ends of the couch. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then he asked, "Do you really think I used you?" "No." He looked surprised. "No, I don't think you planned any of this." "Then why are we here?" "Because I think you got comfortable." His jaw tightened. "And I let you." He looked at me. "I should have said something sooner." "Yes, I know that." He rubbed his hands together. "So, what should I have done?" "Not waited for me to assign everything." "That still sounds like mind reading." "I'm not asking you to guess what gift I want. I'm saying you lived here for a year and never once asked what the utilities cost." He looked away. "You knew groceries appeared. You knew clothes got washed. You knew the apartment stayed clean. You could have asked me to help." "I did ask about chores. Once." "That's the point. I don't want to remind another adult every week that he lives in the same home." He was quiet. Then he asked, "How much are the bills?" I told him. He asked what I usually spent on groceries. I told him that too. His expression changed. "I didn't know it was that much." "I know. You should have told me." "I should have." We sat with that. Because both things were true. He should have noticed more. I should have spoken sooner. He asked, "So, what do you want?" This time, I had an answer. "I want a partner who notices what needs doing." His face fell. "I am your partner." "I know you believe that." "You don't." "I don't know anymore." That was the first time he stopped looking angry. He looked scared. "I thought we were good." "So did I." "Then how does something get this bad without me knowing?" I looked at him. I knew. He went quiet. I just kept telling myself it wasn't important enough to fight about. That hurt him. I could see it. And I hated that. Because Adrian wasn't a villain. He hadn't cheated. He hadn't lied to me. He hadn't deliberately taken money from me. He had supported me through difficult years. He loved me. I believe that. But love doesn't automatically make a relationship equal. Adrian said, "I can fix the money part." I didn't answer. "I can split groceries, utilities, household stuff. That would help." "Then why do you look like that?" "Because I don't know if changing the numbers fixes what happened." He leaned back. "So there's nothing I can do." I didn't say that. "It feels like it." "I'm saying I don't know." He stood and paced. "We survived so much." "I know. We worked through things most couples wouldn't." "We did." I stayed. That word changed the room. Stayed. I looked at him. He realized it too. "What?" "You stayed." "Yes." "And, because you stayed, what?" "That's not what I meant." "What did you mean?" "I mean I didn't leave when things were hard." "I know. Most people might have." There it was. The thing I had always been afraid of. The invisible debt. Maybe he had never consciously thought of it that way. Maybe I had created most of it myself. But it still existed between us. "Do you think I owe you for staying?" His face dropped. "No." "Then why does it come up when I say something feels unequal?" "Because you make it sound like I brought nothing to this relationship." I never said that. You keep talking about money. Because financially and practically, things were unequal. So everything else doesn't matter? Of course it matters. Then why are we here? Because emotional support doesn't erase practical responsibility. He stared at me. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Finally, he said quietly, "I never thought you owed me." I believed him. "But you felt like you did," he said. "Yes. That isn't my fault." "No." He looked surprised. I continued. "But I think you benefited from me feeling that way." That hurt him. I could see it. He sat down again. Eventually, Adrian said he would stay with his friend for another week. Not because we had officially ended things. Not because we had fixed them. We just needed space. He took some clothes. Not all of them. His shoes were still near the door. His toothbrush was still in the bathroom. Half the closet still looked like he lived there. Nothing felt final. That almost made it worse. Over the next few days, we texted occasionally. Nothing dramatic. No begging. No insults. Once, he sent me a picture of a dog he saw outside a cafe because it looked like one we had always joked about adopting. I stared at the picture for several minutes before sending back a heart. That hurt more than our arguments. Because this was still someone I loved. A few days later, Adrian transferred money for his share of the recent groceries and utilities. I called him. What is this? My part. You didn't have to send it right now. Yes, I did. This isn't what I was asking for. I know. Do you? He went quiet. Then he said, I'm trying. I looked at the amount on my screen. For months, I had wanted him to contribute. Now that he finally had, I didn't feel relieved. I just felt sad. I'm not angry that you sent it. Okay, but paying now doesn't erase why we got here. I know. This time, I believed he did. Before we hung up, he asked, do you still love me? I closed my eyes. Yes. He exhaled. Then why can't we fix this? I didn't have an answer. That's where things are now. We aren't fully together. We aren't completely broken up either. Adrian is still staying somewhere else. Some of his things are still here. We talk carefully. He says if he comes back, he'll split the shared expenses. He admitted he should have helped more without waiting for me to ask. I admitted I let resentment grow while pretending everything was fine. On paper, that sounds fixable. Maybe it is. But I still think about what happened when I finally said the word money. Disgusting. Transactional. Good luck finding someone who pays for everything. I know he felt accused. I know saying, it's because of money, made the problem sound uglier and simpler than it really was. I should have spoken sooner. I should have been clearer. But I still don't know how to forget how quickly my unhappiness became greed in his mind. I never wanted Adrian to fund my life. I wanted him to participate in the life we already had. To see that something needed doing and do it. To understand that sharing a home meant sharing more than a bed and an address. Maybe I expected too much without saying enough. Maybe Adrian should have noticed more without being told. Maybe both things are true. His clothes are still hanging in my closet. I haven't packed them. He hasn't asked me to. Some mornings, I look at them and want to call him and tell him to come home. Other mornings, I look around the quiet apartment and feel lighter. And I still don't know which feeling I should trust.